USA Radio News with Tim Berg.
President Trump is meeting with Pakistan's Prime Minister at the White House on Monday. The two will be discussing numerous topics, including trade, defense, and the war in Afghanistan.
So we're working with Pakistan and others to extricate ourselves, nor do we want to be policemen, because basically we're policemen right now, and we're not supposed to be policemen. We've been there for 19 years in Afghanistan. It's ridiculous. And I think Pakistan helps us with that because we don't want to stay as policemen.
Earlier on Monday, President Trump and the First Lady paid their respects to the late Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens. Stevens died last week at the age of 99 after suffering a stroke. Stevens' body is lying in repose in the Great Hall of the Supreme Court building. And Senate Democrats are rolling out legislation aimed at protecting illegal alien children and families in custody at the U.S. southern border. And you're listening to USA Radio News. Vermont Senator and 2020 presidential candidate Bernie Sanders is still touting a $15 an hour minimum wage, amid controversy that his own campaign staff receives only $13 an hour. Republican Congressman from Texas Dan Crenshaw tells Fox News this makes perfect economic sense.
The CBO estimates that up to 3.7 million jobs would be lost under this kind of bill. And it's not hard to understand why. When a business is faced with a new minimum wage, well, their entire budget for salaries and payroll doesn't change.
Sanders is now saying he'll limit his campaign staffers' hours so that they'll earn the equivalent of $15 an hour for a living wage. Members of New York City's Firefighters Union are heading to Washington, D.C. ahead of tomorrow's Senate vote on the 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund. Uniformed Firefighters Association officials say they're optimistic the bill will go through and be on President Trump's desk by the end of the week. And you're listening to USA Radio News. Going a little bit more in depth on one of our top stories, as President Trump welcomes the Prime Minister of Pakistan to the White House, the president took some questions from reporters and was asked just how much of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's testimony he'll be watching on Wednesday.
No, I'm not going to be watching, probably, maybe I'll see a little bit of it. I'm not going to be watching Mueller because you can't take all those bites out of the apple. We had no collusion, no obstruction. We had no nothing. We had a total no collusion finding. The Democrats were devastated by it. They went crazy. They've gone off the deep end. They're not doing anything. They're not doing health care. They're not doing infrastructure. They're not lowering drug prices. I'm lowering drug prices. First time in 53 years that drug prices went down last year. 53 years. And I'm doing that without the help of Congress, which makes it much tougher to do, because if they worked with us, I could get drug prices down in half. But the Democrats don't seem to care about drug prices. All they care about is a phony investigation where the report was written. It said no collusion. The report was written, and the Attorney General, based on the report, was easily able to find there was no obstruction.
And finally, earthquakes in Southern California keep occurring. A 4.2 quake hit the 29 Palms area this morning, which is about 180 miles from where the majority of the earthquakes have been happening up near Ridgecrest, California. For USA Radio News, I'm Tim Berg.